Greetings, greetings, and some more greetings to all of my loved ones. I hope everybody's doing well. Happy holidays. I love you all. So, tonight we're going to have cocktails and conversation. I hope you don't mind. Of course, you don't. But no, for real. Seriously, guys, I want to talk to you guys about something that I've been seeing going on a lot. Not just with myself now, but with others as well. Because, when you are in touch with the universe and yourself, and especially when you are highly intuitive, you're more perceptive. So I've been seeing this going on for a while, and I understand spiritual warfare is at an all-time high. It's at an all-time high, y'all. All-time high. But let me tell you something. What I've come to realize is that a lot of people are taking spirituality as a joke. A lot of people choose to become spiritual because they feel as though it's going to give them power over everybody else. They feel as though it's going to change their lives for the better, which of course it will. Once you become in touch with yourself and the universe, your life is going to improve. It might not just happen like that overnight, but it's going to improve. But what I've been seeing is, as we go on and on in this spiritual warfare that's going on in life around the world, especially with people who are intuitive and have callings on their life, what I'm starting to realize is a lot of other people are really bothered about that. People are pressed like a damn panini pressed, okay? Bothered about the fact that certain people have certain roles this lifetime that are not theirs. And therefore, they feel as though they can compete. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, if you are a spiritual person and you find yourself, or you claim to be spiritual, you're claiming spirituality, you're claiming to be in touch with source, divine, God, whatever you care to define a higher being as, and you say that you are aligned and seeking for your highest purpose, you're not going to be competing with nobody. You're not. You should be focused on your own self, your own shit, what you are doing. You should not be focused on what somebody else is doing, okay? That right there, the fact that a lot of people are so concerned with other people's spiritual path and spiritual journey tells me that they're not doing enough in theirs. That's what that says. Now, it's one thing, we all have callings, and a lot of people, as they have tapped into their so-called divinity, and the reason why I say so-called, I'm not trying to make fun of spirit, our ancestors, our guides, or any positive energies or entities or deities or whatever have you that are here to help us. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm saying is that a lot of people, they get involved in this and they use it just for clout, basically. A lot of people have realized, or they seem to feel as though spirituality is the new rage, because, we live in a trendy age. One person wear their hair in a bob, God forbid they famous, the whole damn world gonna have a fucking bob the next day, right? What's good for the goose, though, is not always good for the gander, y'all. Because, I don't know, there's certain universal laws that, we don't, that are unspoken. What's understood doesn't always need to be said, or at least in the past, it didn't always need to be said. But nowadays, it seems as though you have to say it. So let's say it. Spirituality is not a competition. The use of your gifts is not a competition. The acceleration, the ascension of your gifts and your divinity is not a competition. What I have been saying all along, that everybody has politely been ignoring, is that we all have something called Akashic Records. In those records is our whole life. Not just this life, but all the other lives that we may have lived, whether you choose to believe it or not. So the thing is, in that book, Christians call it the Lamb's Book of Life. I know you all have heard of it in church, the Lamb's Book of Life. You want your name to be written in there. And the thing is, everybody's name is written in the book. However, how you choose to fill your pages is totally different. But what people fail to realize is, just like in a regular book, there's going to be a glossary and there's going to be an appendix. And in your appendix, the same way that you have references for things is the same way that somebody on their spiritual journey, they have references on their spiritual journey of different lessons that they have been through, obstacles, tests, towers that they have passed that have helped them to elevate and to ascend to where they need to be on their path. Now, it's just like this. I'm going to compare this to like boot camp, for example, right? Let's just say your spiritual journey to your highest purpose is like boot camp. You're not the only person at boot camp, right? There's hundreds, thousands of people at that location at that time, all getting training for their job that they feel is their purpose so that they can be the best and withstand any type of situation, whether it be an emergency, routine, or life-saving. When you're in boot camp, the first thing that they want you to do is to learn how to get into a formation and to move as one. That is the way that spirit moves. That's just like you talking about the body of Christ or anything like that. We are all God's children. Some of us choose to deny him and go other ways, and that's fine. However, we are all God's children, so we are all in formation. Now, when God tells you to move, you move. When you're in boot camp and formation, you always know when you march, it's left, right, left, right. Everybody should be on the same foot. Everybody should start off on the same foot. Everybody should end on the same foot, right? In a perfect world, that is how all of our spiritual journeys would go, and we would all ascend and be at the same level at the same time. However, you have those who are rhythmically challenged. You have some who, are different ethnicities that may not be as rhythmic. They may not catch on. Some people may be delayed. Some people just may have 2 left feet. So it may take a moment for the whole formation to get into a proper stride, right? That also goes with spirituality. And that's what we're going through right now with spiritual warfare. But the thing is, you cannot copy somebody else's steps and expect to stay in formation and go to where you have to go. Everybody has different steps and different rhythms. However, the ideal goal of what spirituality is and should be, at least in some sort of the way to you, is that everybody gets their flow and it becomes natural. And not only does it give a camaraderie, because everybody's in harmony, everybody's energy is in flow, but also too, from the outside looking in, we look like we have our shit together and we are elite. And that is what the goal should be as well with spirituality. All of us should ideally want to be perceived as elite. But the thing is, some people seem to think eliteness only comes around with leap years, to where they feel as though they have to compete, especially with their spiritual journeys and their gifts, to get a certain role, to be formation leader or whatever, to call cadence. And that's not so. That's not so. If you make it through boot camp long enough, everybody will get an opportunity to sing cadence if they want to. And it's the same thing with spirituality. Everybody will get an opportunity to use their gifts and to have their voice be heard and stuff, when it's their time, when they're ready. The race is not for the swift. And I see a lot of people that are missing the concept of it, because I don't even fucking understand, first and foremost, how they could miss the concept. But hey, to each their own, because most people turn to spirituality when they are seeking peace, balance, and harmony in their lives, right? So why would you want to fuck that up by messing with somebody else who's on their journey? Because you feel as though they're going to find nirvana before you. You feel as though there's a prize at the top of the mountain for that one person who makes it up there first. I hate to be the one to break it to y'all, but that's bullshit. I say this all the time, and I really think people think that I'm just popping shit or just trying to portray some type of eternal optimism when I say this. But there is enough for everybody to eat. Because before we all came down here, our paths were written for us. Which means you cannot try to be somebody else. You cannot take what is meant for somebody else. Okay? Because you have not been through what they have been through in order to get that. You think you're winning, but you don't know with everything good comes bad. Right? There's always something. You have to learn how to balance things. So why should you be envious of somebody else's gifts? Instead of being envious of other people or feeling threatened by other people who are just as powerful or maybe even more powerful than you, because you don't know. The only person who knows their full potential is God. Instead of you trying to compete with that person, don't you think it would be wiser, better to learn from that person, to ask that person to teach you so that you can properly emulate the use of that and enhance it in your own way in order to help others? Or y'all didn't think about that? It's just me? I don't know. But it just doesn't make sense to me. It really doesn't. And then I see a lot, especially a lot of females. Females by nature tend to be more catty. And they tend to outwardly display when they feel threatened by another female more than men who are more in their masculine energy or not balanced. You see what I'm saying? But why is it we should be together? There's strength in numbers, but instead everybody wants to oppose and fight at this time when everything else is going on in the world. As if we don't have a whole bunch of other shit going on, bigger fish to fry, other things going on in the world that need our attention, that need the use of our gifts and the focus. Instead, so many of us out there are choosing to focus our energy into the negative, right? You're feeding into the darkness. You're feeding into the things that, although at the time it may not seem like it, it's really deterring you from your purpose and from your journey and your growth. A lot of people are out here spying on people's lives, looking into people's destinies through their gifts, exploiting their gifts, not minding their fucking business, digging in people's shit. It's one thing if somebody gives you permission, but a lot of people are doing this nowadays without the consent of somebody else, digging into their Akashic records, trying to spiritually bind them and block their third eyes, their chakras, so that they can't be balanced, so that they can't properly cultivate and grow, because that person might not know, or that person might be putting out love when you're putting out love in other. It's a shame. It really is a shame, y'all. It really is a shame. And somebody has to say it. So I'll be that guy. Fuck it. It's a fucking shame. And that's something that always puts the minority behind. That's what makes the minority a minority. Okay? Because a lot of people feel as though a lot of people feel as though a minority is somebody of, you know what I'm saying, a certain ethnicity or culture or demographic. But also too, the minority is people who have specialties or gifts, right? The small number of those people, they are a minority as well, because although everybody is privy to the use and enhancement of their spiritual gifts, not everybody chooses to use those. Some of you be like, oh, it's too scary, this is too much. I'm not trying to do this. Not this lifetime. This lifetime I'm just trying to chill, kick it, fuck bitches, get money. And then you have the others who know okay, it might behoove me to learn, to do better, to try, to put myself out there, this and that. And then you have the haters, the people like some of you guys out there who feel like you're God, who have some type of God complex now that you've tapped into the other side, the other realms and stuff. Now you feel a rush of power and you think that you're God. So now you want to play with people in the spiritual realm because in the physical realm, you look at them as competition. Why do you look at them as competition? Because they realized they had gifts and they weren't intimidated and they wanted to display them. Because they displayed them in a different way than you. Because they displayed their gifts confidently. While the whole time you sitting there worried about everybody else using their gifts because you don't feel like yours are good enough. Is that why you're mad? It shouldn't be. You should let that put a battery in your back and let that make you choose to be better and not bitter. I'm just saying. I'm saying, you don't got to take my advice, though. What do I know, right? Been there, done that, talked about it. But one thing I will say, it's a true coward. A true coward is the type of person that instead of facing somebody that they feel threatened by or trying to be just as good, it is a coward that will choose to do it behind the veil in the spiritual realms where others cannot see. That is akin to stabbing somebody in the back or being a setup. You feel me? God sees all. All the energies that you're calling up to do these things in the spiritual realm to your competition, Spirit sees that. Just because the person here in the flesh, just because we don't see it, just because I don't see it, doesn't mean that Spirit doesn't know. And the same way that you are tapped into your ancestors is the same way that these other children of God are tapped into their ancestors. And they don't like that. They don't like what they're seeing at all. So never think you're better than anybody because you're further along in your journey, or you think you've mastered something, or you feel as though you look better, or you feel as though you have more of this and that. That's not what it's about. The fact that you feel that way means that you're not really on a true spiritual journey, and you may need to reevaluate yourself. You may want to start a new journey. Just saying. The fact that you feel as though you have to use ulterior methods to try to bind, block, and stop people from achieving the same success you have or aspire to have means that something is wrong and it's you. Whether you admit it to anybody or not, Spirit sees. And for some of his children down here, he shows us. He shows us who you are and what you do. And some of us, even lesser minority of us, he chooses to be the voice to say something about it. Just saying. Just saying. I feel as though at this point in time, with everything going on and Omarion on the loose and whatnot, everybody needs to take a step back, reevaluate their path, their journey, their intentions, and also the things that you do that you think nobody else sees. They're going to come bite you. This is a warning for all of those who have been spiritually competing with God's children out there, and either they don't know it or you think they don't know it. You will be handled accordingly. Don't be mad at me. I'm just a messenger. My Father said to tell you that. He sees it all. All wrongs will be righted. Always remember, the race is not for the swift. That's all I really got to say to y'all. That's all I really got to say. Be safe. Have a happy new year out in them streets. Don't do anything I wouldn't do, which is not much. But yeah. And also too, if ever spirit moves you to, check out my shop on Etsy, Empress Oracle Shop. I have everything you may be looking for to help stabilize those unbalanced chakras that make you do unbalanced things. Be safe, and I love you all.